Good afternoon. We are here today to talk about the Karnataka state budget that was presented by Chief Minister Siddaramaiah just a couple of hours ago. In fact, it was a long drawn budget speech that lasted for about or more than 3 hours, in fact. And we are here to talk about the nitty-gritties of what it holds for the people of Karnataka, various regions, the highlights of the budget, and so on. The budget size, as you know by now, if you have been following the live streaming that we have been doing on our website, is it has crossed 4 lakh crore this time. It is 4.09 lakh crore is the total budget size this time. It's again a revenue deficit budget, though the quantum of deficit has gone down slightly from 27,000 crore, which it was last year, to 19,000 crore. Though it's, but Siddaramaiah was at pains to say that despite heavy borrowings and reliance on borrowings, it remains within the fiscal deficit, within the fiscal norms. He was at pains to explain that, and he was at pains to explain that there has been a balance between the capital expenditure and the welfare schemes. How welfare schemes, given the criticism he has been facing about the nature of welfare schemes, especially guarantee schemes, he made it a point to say that these should not be seen as freebies, as many people would like to call it, that they are strategically made investments, keeping in mind social and economic factors. This is what he emphasized in the budget. So there's a lot more to unpack there. So without too much delay, and Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is expected to address the press a little later by around 4 o'clock. So we'll have from him what exactly his plan is and so on. And I would like to invite Nagesh Prabhu, who was at the budget presentation of Siddaramaiah, and he will now be going over to the press conference to talk about what are the key observations. His first shot at what it looks like, what the budget looks like. Nagesh, if you'd like to talk.
Good evening, all panel members. As you said, Karnataka for the first time crossed the 4 lakh crore budget, and Karnataka is the only fourth state to achieve that feat. Other states are like UP, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu has crossed the 4 lakh crore budget. So Karnataka's budget size is increased from 3.71 lakh crore to 4.09 lakh crore. So almost 38,000 up in the size of the budget. The significant feature of this budget is, as Siddaramaiah always says, social justice, empowerment of women, and green technology. He largely focuses on guarantees and growth of rural and agriculture development. The significant feature is agriculture has turned positive this time. The agriculture growth rate was minus 4.9% last year, that is 24-25, but this time it has turned positive to 4%. Another significant feature is that the allocation for gender justice and allocation for women and child development has significantly increased. He has allocated nearly 1.56 lakh crore, that is 38% of the budget size. And he has balanced the budget between welfare scheme and development projects. There are a lot of development he has focused on tier 2 cities in terms of construction of roads, construction of stadiums, construction of health centers, construction of district courts, bridges, rural roads, etc. So there is a balance between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure, though much of the amount has been would be spent on revenue expenditure. As outlined by Siddaramaiah himself in the beginning, 6 major key areas he has focused. The first one is welfare programs. As you know, the budget largely focuses on 5 guarantees. Agriculture and rural development. Next one is, third one is, he said that development is largely development oriented. And focus is given on urban development. Cities like Hubballi, Mysore, Mangalore, and tier 3 cities. And fourth one is industry and job creation. He has mentioned about investment Karnataka, creation of 10 lakhs jobs, jobs in IT sector, manufacturing sector, service sector, And lastly, on governance and reforms by amending some laws in the budget session of the legislature. So, in fact, this is the first time Karnataka has crossed the 4 lakh crore budget. Karnataka has crossed 3 lakh crore budget during the BJP government. It is around 14 years ago when Sadananda Gowda was the Chief Minister of the Karnataka.
Okay, so if you were to focus a little more on what you mentioned about revenue receipts and what is what is projected as spending in the next budget year, how would you say? How would you look at it? Do you think fiscally, like Siddaramaiah has repeatedly said, that we are within the whatever the norms of fiscal discipline is something he has been saying, that he is able to balance between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure? But if you see the revenue expenditure, seventh pay commission has taken a big chunk of the expenses. So what is your observation on the overall economic, I mean finance wise, if you see it, how do you see it? Do you think it's still okay? We are still okay in terms of fiscal discipline?
Yeah, see, Karnataka government has passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act in 2002. As per the act, the Karnataka government has to maintain the fiscal deficit within 3% of its outlay, its expenditure. So it is within the limit of both fiscal responsibility as well as the GSB in terms of borrowings. So borrowings have not exceeded 25% of the total budget outlay. So borrowings has increased in terms of budget size, but within the limits of the legislation passed by the state government. So borrowings increased from this last year budget 1.5 lakh crore to 1 lakh 16 lakh crore. So as the budget size increases, borrowings increases, revenue mobilization increases, tax revenue increases. But he has kept within the limits of acts passed by the state government.
Okay. So, I mean, he has also said that revenue receipts are expected to go up in quite a few areas, right? I mean, that is what the budget suggests.
Yeah, he has thought of including some reforms in minerals areas, land areas, asset monetization. So different sectors he has tightened the screws to increase the revenue. So this time again, the revenue of all sector, whether commercial taxes, transport, or in terms of land registration, all will go up. Because size of the budget, when the size of the budget goes up, the revenue of the state government increases. Because without increasing the revenue, it is increasingly difficult for the state to spend both revenue as well as on the capital expenditure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nagesh, for joining us. And I will now let you go because I know that you now have to rush to the Chief Minister press conference, which will talk more about the budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think now what we can do is move on to various regions of Karnataka and look at how they see this budget, whether in terms of allocation, whether it has been fair, because beyond Bengaluru has been a major rhetoric of this government. So we'll begin probably with Ravi Prasad Kamila, who joins us from coastal Karnataka. Recently, D.K. Shivkumar talked about coastal tourism and so on. So there has been a lot of effort at particularly looking at tourism and various other areas, improving the coastal region's economy. So in that context, how do you see the budget? Do you think it has some positives in terms of what it offers coastal Karnataka? I think you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Still can't hear you. Okay, while you fix that, shall we move over to Mysore then? Laik Khan joins us from Mysore. Again, Mysore is an important area because it's Chief Minister's home district, besides being a very important region within Karnataka. It's also all focus on Mysore because of Siddaramaiah hailing from that district. So what does it look like for Mysore? I don't mean only the city, but the region as a whole, city as well as the old Mysore region.
Hello, Bageshree. Mysore, yeah, as you know, is Siddaramaiah's native. But however, there have been a lot of expectations from the chief minister this time. Though, he has, mentioned about this film city and state of the art bus stand. These are basically not new projects. These have been, in the news for quite some time. This world class film city has been, is being talked about for some time. He has set aside, some 500 crore rupees for this film city project, which he says will come up over a period of time. Incidentally, this is will be in public-private partnership. Already, some land has been transferred to about 150 acres of land for to DIPR for the project. Studios, theaters, theme parks, all these things are expected to come up in this film city, which it will come up in Immavu village, which is about say 15-20 kilometers from Mysore. This is expected to generate jobs, bring film crews from across to Mysore and things like that. And the second thing, which is important thing for Mysore, is the bus stand, because the existing bus stand, which is on this Bangalore-Nilgiri road, is already choked and congested, because they operate all those short term, short distance, long distance buses from the same bus stand, and the road outside that existing bus stand is choked. Now this is also being talked about over the last couple of months. Now the KSRTC is already invited tender for this 120 crore. This bus stand will come up in Banimantap, which is adjacent to Balbhavan, where this torchlight parade is held every year. Though the people who run lodges, hotels, and things around the existing bus stand are opposed to the idea, I think the state government is going ahead with this proposal to build a new state-of-the-art bus stand in Mysore. The other allocation for Mysore is, the grant of 319 crores for the runway extension. Because as most people know, the existing runway is only about 1,740 meters. And because of the short runway, you can operate only small-sized aircraft, like, the 70-seater aircraft. If you need to, fly a long distance with larger aircrafts like Boeing and Airbus, you need a minimum of 2,750 meters of runway. So for this process, to have this runway extended, they need to acquire additional land, and also the existing highway between Mysore and Bangalore, Mysore and Nanjangud should be realigned. So now I think Chief Minister has allocated about 319 crores for acquisition of land for the extension of the runway. So apart from this, he has made some other announcements, like, museum. One museum will come up in the old Deputy Commissioner's office, which is incidentally about 130 years old. The Deputy Commissioner's office has now been shifted to a new facility on Bengaluru Road and is operating from there for the last 2-3 years. Now the old building, which was built in 1895, will be converted into a state-level museum to showcase the state's culture, civilization, and other social milestones. The other museum will be that tribal museum, which will come up at the Tribal Research Institute. The other announcements include a silk cocoon market. Already, there is one silk cocoon market at Bandipalya in Mysore. Bandipalya is that APMC yard. But the cocoon generation and the volume of cocoon being brought to the market is so much that the existing market is unable to cater to it. So they are coming up with one more cocoon market close to the existing market, but outside the APMC limits. These are the things. And
what about Mandya? And you want to add something about the other regions?
Yeah, Mandya, the Agriculture University has already been announced. This year, in this budget, he has announced a grant of rupees 25 crores for infrastructure and for starting the classes. So that is one major announcement for Mandya, which he has been made. And for Kodagu, some announcements have been made for rebuilding the bridges and roads which are repeatedly damaged during monsoon rains and the other calamities. They have also come up with a project for preventing land slippages in this area. Apart from that, Chamarajnagar also has nothing, much more, nothing much for Chamarajnagar, but generally it may benefit. But major, thing setback for Mysore is, people in Mysore. The aspirations of people in Mysore were, I think, much higher than what has actually been given. They were looking forward to this Greater Mysore City Corporation, which was
on the lines of Bangalore.
On the lines of Bruhat Bangalore Mahanagara Palika. They wanted to have a Bruhat Mysore Mahanagara Palika. For this, they had to bring in one, city municipal council, Woodgilly City Municipal Council, and some 4 town panchayats which are on the outskirts of Mysore. These are the areas just outside the ring road fall under the limits of these town panchayats. Now the infrastructure and the civic amenities in these areas is so bad that there's been a growing demand for inclusion of these areas in the city corporation limits. These areas essentially were under the jurisdiction of MUDA, Mysore Urban Development Authority, which recently got into so much of issues involving allotment of compensatory
involving
sites.
all the way, going all the way to the Chief Minister himself.
Yes. Now, MUDA has, washed its hands off these areas. They have, given up responsibility of these areas. Now, the responsibility of these areas vests with these, civic, local, urban local bodies. That is, these town panchayats, 4 town panchayats, and 1 CMC. Unfortunately, these local bodies have no financial, support to provide infrastructure for these areas. These areas, I think, have as many houses as the city has. In the sense, maybe not as many, but they are growing at a very fast pace since the last 5 to 10 years. So now I was just speaking to people from the Congress party. They were hopeful that this Greater Mysore will come about, whether it has been mentioned in the budget or not. I think it is inevitability which is staring in the face of the government, particularly after MUDA abandoned them, gave up their responsibility.
I think
apart
urban
from this-
expansion is no
Yes.
escape from it, and it has to be addressed at some
Yes,
point.
it has to be addressed. How? But there's no budgetary allocation for this.
Yeah.
Even though GT Devegowda, who represents Chamundeshwari Assembly constituency, actually Chamundeshwari Assembly constituency is spread across outskirts of Mysore. It's in a circular fashion. It surrounds Mysore. So much of these areas, most of these local bodies fall in Chamundeshwari. Recently, he was asking for just 1,000 crore rupees just for UGT of these areas. So we'll have to wait and see how the government sets aside funds for the development of these areas. And apart from that, another major demand was for provision for financial for grants for this Kabini phase 2 and phase 3. Kabini is a 180 MLD project, out of which 60 MLDs are currently available. To get the remaining 120 MLD, they needed 150 crore rupees. So that demand is also pending before the government. That has also not been addressed in the present budget. So we'll have to wait and see how financial
So
resources.
we could, on the whole, say that in terms of urban infrastructure demands of Mysore, some major demands still remain to be addressed,
Yes,
and have not been addressed in this
They have
budget.
not been addressed in the budget. Whether they will be addressed without provision in the budget or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Thank you, Khan. Thanks for joining us. Now, Ravi, are you able to join now? Okay. So would you like to go? I don't think we can still hear you. There seems to be some problem. Can you unmute? You're unmuted? No. I think now you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. No, I still can't hear you. Okay. So let's hope that we can fix this. Meanwhile, we'll go to Girish Patan-Shetty, who joins us from Hubballi. Hi,
Hello.
Girish. So
Hi.
lot of hopes were pinned on, particularly North Karnataka, because in the last, like the big investment summit that happened, a lot of conversation was about how much industry will move to North Karnataka district. A lot of talk was about especially Kalburgi and Hubballi, developing investments and infrastructure there. So, does any of that do you see any of that in the budget this time? If you can briefly tell us what are the highlights and what is good and what is still lacking as far as budget goes for your region.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
The hype that was created during the global summit, investor summit, I don't see that is being reflected in the budget as such, because lot was spoken about how much investment is going to be there in these regions, but barring the promises that was made by Mr. Kharge, the ITBT minister, who visited these areas prior to the summit and held discussions with the trade bodies and others. So that much the hype that was created with regard to the summit, I don't see that happening in the budget as such. We have, of course, some announcements regarding building new structures, getting a new mega dairy for Kalburgi, some court complex coming up in Koppal, and then market for sheep and goat happening in Koppal, and then but apart from that, no major any investment plan as such, or many announcement as such has been made with regard to North Karnataka as a whole. Of course, Kalyana Karnataka, when compared to Kittur Karnataka, Kalyana Karnataka has got something at least in terms of development projects. They have, but the major project with regard to irrigation project with regard to this region was the Upper Krishna, but nothing has been said about that because it requires huge investment from the state government. And also, although the talk was about making it a national project, the talks happened between the government and the central government when BJP was in power, but subsequently there is not much news about it. And in the present budget, they have only spoken about the land acquisition process. They have said that they are going to expedite the land acquisition process so that the project ultimately takes, because there is a lot of submergence going to happen after the height of the Almaty Dam is increased. So prior to that, they want to finish this acquisition process, but no clear allocation has been made as such with regard to how much they are going to spend for land acquisition and other things. They have only mentioned that they are going to expedite the process as such. And with regard to the irrigation, another major irrigation project, of course, another controversial one also, with regard to as it is an interstate issue, it has gone before the Mahadai dispute tribunal. With regard to Kalsa Banduri as such, there is no specific announcement as such, because they still require a lot of permissions to go ahead with the project. And as of now, they have only said that they are going to get permissions as early as possible, and they are going to initiate the work once that approval comes. And at the present stage, the central government is yet to give any permission. Environmental and forest clearance is yet to take place. So that's not going to happen, at least in the next 6 months probably. But the only mention which I can find with regard to Hubli Dharwad, which is quite often described as second capital and second biggest corporation in the state as such, is that of course now it's going to lose out that tag, because Dharwad Municipal Corporation is going to be carved out of Hubli, the Dharwad Municipal Corporation. But only two mentions I can find in the budget with regard to Hubli and Dharwad. One is that Dharwad Municipal Corporation is going to be created, and another one is with regard to a global technology center, the plug and play facility, which Mr. Kharge promised, Priyank Kharge promised when he was here for the investors meet here in Hubli Dharwad. That only has been sanctioned. So the Global Technology Center for Hubli Dharwad, and also for Belgavi. There's the only two mentions which I can find in the budget with regard to Hubli and Dharwad. Of course, Belgavi has some mention with regard to they have proposed to set up an college in Athani, and then there is mention of new DC office, the district administration office for Belgavi, and then apart from that, for Belgavi also there is not much there. And
Yeah.
Gadag, to some extent, has some mention in the budget, wherein they are going to conduct a feasibility study with regard to establishment of a horticulture university in Gadag. Of course, the state-of-the-art cath lab facility has already been built in Gadag, and it's awaiting inauguration. And another mention of this region is with regard to the Vijaypura airport, wherein they want to operationalize the airport, which is being constructed around the 300 plus crore investment. So that's all I can see. There is when it comes to Haveri, there is no mention as such. And Uttara Kannada, there is one mention with regard to having a organic taluk as such. They want to declare one taluk in Uttara Kannada, Joyda, as the organic taluk. And apart from that, there is not much for the North Karnataka as such.
Okay. So your big disappointment is, of course, about irrigation projects. I mean, that there is
Yes.
no mention of exact allocation for these
Yes.
projects, which are already anyway mired in several litigations and
Yes.
So
So there is
interstate
no progress as
disputes.
such at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Girish. I think Ravi Prasad, we are not able to connect at all, so we'll have to then move to Bangalore. Of course, brand Bengaluru has been a very big talking point, especially Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar's pet, project. So Aditya, our Deputy City Editor, is here to talk about what exactly is there in the budget for brand Bengaluru and furthering that image, if at all. So what are the
Hi.
highlights? Hi.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So the state budget actually makes a big announcement saying the allocation for Bangalore has been increased from 3,000 crores to 7,000 crores. So, but the following projects that have been listed under this, actually most of the big ticket projects, the government is not spending anything on these projects. The tunnel projects, the budget says that the government has stood guarantee for 19,000 crore loan. And then the peripheral ring road, the Bengaluru business corridor project, again the state government has stood as a guarantor for a loan from HUDCO for 27,000 crores. Then the metro is there, and one of the significant things is they have said the metro will be extended up to Devanhalli. And the other big ticket projects is that they will implement one flood prevention project. Flood prevention, essentially reconstruction of stormwater drains and other things at a cost of 2,000 crores, and new STPs at a cost of around 1,000 crores. But both these projects are again coming from a World Bank loan. So most of the projects that are being executed are being externally funded rather than from the state government. Out of these, there are no clear timelines for either Bangalore Suburban Rail project or for metro, peripheral ring road, or the other tunnel road. So there are no clear timelines for any of these projects. And there are no new projects. Most of these projects have already been discussed. And one of the new projects is they have said that they will redevelop the Majestic bus stand, the Kempegowda bus stand. But that is also on PPP mode, with a commercial complex being built, which will probably be leased out to whoever invests on the redevelopment of the Majestic bus stand. So that is also not from the state government funds. So apart from these, the other main projects that are being listed in the budget are D.K. Shivkumar has always been talking about trying to expand the road network of the city, without which he thinks that you can't handle the traffic congestion. So he has come up with this idea of building double-decker flyovers with the flyover over which there will be a metro. So for metro phase 3, which is yet to start, So they will build around 40 kilometers of double-decker flyover, for which around 8,900 crores will be spent, they have said. But that is also unlikely to be spent. All of it is unlikely to be spent this year. So the other innovative project is to build around 300 kilometers of roads in the buffer zones of stormwater drains. For that, 3,000 crores has been earmarked. But again, that also the complete thing is unlikely. Only a part of it will be spent this year, I think. And around 120 kilometers of flyovers, grade separators, underpasses, they've said. There is no clarity on what this, from what DK Shivakumar has spoken earlier. This includes around 17 projects, 17 flyovers and grade separators, underpasses and everything. That is also no timeline, no listing, and no clarity on what amount of funds will be utilized this year. So this is the overall thing for Bangalore. But in other departments, apart from Bangalore development, there have been several other interesting projects that have been listed. For example, they have said they will build a satellite bus stand in KR-Puram for East Bangalore. And also they have said that there will be a 200-bed multi-specialty hospital in Bangalore North Taluk, which doesn't have a government hospital till now. I think the Yelahanka side. So that is there. And there is a Bangalore Signature Park in Devnalli, which is under the Industries Department. And they also said they will build a EV cluster, electric vehicle cluster, at a cost of around 25 crores for Bangalore. And also they have said around 9,000, they aim to include 9,000 electric buses to BMTC. So actually the fleet itself is not 9,000 as yet, I think so. So they intend to increase the fleet size and also replace everything with electric vehicles, if that is the case. So there are these kind of, here and there are some good projects that have been listed, like one mental health center for destitutes at the House of Destitutes on Outer Ring Road. And there is a new satellite market to the APMC on the outskirts of the city. And there is a sheep and goat market planned for Bengaluru. So one Kionics center, another Kionics center in Bengaluru. So these are here and there are many projects. But apart from that, if you see the thrust of it, the thrust of it seems to be mobility and expanding the road network. But there are no clear timelines. Most of these projects are being taken up through external funding, through loans. And there is no, apart from state government standing as a guarantor for loans, there is no significant allocations for these projects.
Okay, so you would say that it's somewhat piecemeal and there's no clarity on where the money comes from for those which look big.
Yes, correct.
Look like
and most
big.
of these projects which look big also, they are not new. They have been in discussion for the past 1.5 to 2 years.
So I was just thinking as you were talking that there are many things about which, it's a document of intent anyway. So there are many things about which we can only judge them as we go along and as we see how the money comes and whether anything gets implemented at all. For example, multiplexes. In this budget again, there's a mention that there'll be a cap on multiplex ticket prices. This is something that the government, Congress government in its previous regime has tried out and failed. So there are many things like this which we will have to see whether it actually works out or not, whether where the money comes from and so on. So let's keep track of the promises in the budget and see where they go. I think we have kind of run out of time now, and should we, before we go, let me give a last shot at talking to Ravi. Ravi, can you hear us now? Oh, no luck. Okay. I think we are not able to hear you. Maybe another time we'll do a special session on coastal Karnataka alone. Thank you so much for being patient and trying to join us. So please do keep track of the stories as we follow the budget. Today we have a live update with more details, granular details on what the budget holds. And tomorrow in print and online, you will read more stories as we try to get behind these schemes and look at the other documents, look at the finances and do more detailed stories on the issues that we have raised in this discussion. So thank you so much to all the panelists and also all the people who joined online to listen to us. Thank you and good evening.